when Bitcoin cooling has 3 stalls, you know the scams are gone. Yo, what's up everyone? This is the Bitcoin Asia conference here in Hong Kong. And it's pretty amazing because it's a Bitcoin focused conference. And we're gonna check it out because, yeah, it's the biggest, I think this is the biggest collection of Asian people. The Chinese mining community is all here. And it's just such a different vibe from what's happening. And this year versus last year, I'm curious to see, are they still building? What's the most popular Bitcoin stalls in here and what people are talking about? What's the talk around the water cooler? Let's take a look at what's inside. Oh my God, you know, like, just one thought that I have here is there's a distinct lack of blatant marketing. I mean, we've seen past conferences where, you know, there's stock booths full of booth babes and they'll have like dinosaurs running around and things to just like visually catch attention. And it's like, and most of these are deployed by like a lot of these like scam or, you know, aggressive marketing projects. And you just don't see that. And like you see a lack of scams here, right? Not many new shitcoins, not many new exchanges. I mean, hell, there's like 3 cooling companies here, right? And it's just, it's interesting. It's interesting. Like this year is a very, very different year. It's I think it's also it goes to show how more mature this industry is. Yeah, it's like there's just not that many rooms for scams, so they just don't even bother putting marketing money into promoting themselves. It's like more for like, you know, the flashiest booth here I see is Unisat, and they make wallets. So yeah, that's interesting. That's just a thought. Like it's a very different vibe, and it really goes to show 2025, the market really matured. Like the mining space really matured, and the other thing I kind of noticed here is like, yeah, there's a lot less focus on China, and I think they're Chinese, right? You can see everyone here, they're Chinese, but they're not, they're scattered around the world, so they want, you know, that to kind of work out. They're like, they're looking for everywhere for cheap power. So like the heritage is still the same, but the location is different. This puppet looks a little bit tired. Of listening to Bitcoin talks. Needs to rest a little bit. At this conference, I think you can't get away from the mining. And I just want to put some thoughts on mining. And things have changed a lot. I mean, I started off mining, it was very easy, right? Like you just get a computer and then mine it with any computer you want. But now there was a specialization phase where you have to use ASICs, and now it's like hyper specialized where you have to have, you know, different people specializing in different parts. So say, for example, one person might be specializing in power and sourcing the best power. Another person on that team might be specializing in cooling, how to cool everything in the mining. Then the other guys might be like, oh, sourcing the ASICs, getting the ASICs there in time, and then maybe shipping logistics. So mining is much less accessible. I think it's much more of a team-based project, because at the end of the day, it's not just about, oh, you being able to mine or not, but rather being able to extract the maximum amount of value from those mines. Remember, mining is competitive, right? You're always competing with other miners for that Bitcoin reward. So if you can do it more efficiently than they can, kudos to you. If you can do it with less power or like power cost, cooling costs, location costs, tax costs. If you can stand any sort of that advantage, then you're going to beat the other guy. So there's just not as much room for the average person to enter the mining space, but rather it's for teams and people with a lot of capital backing. Because if you're going to sort out all these problems, then you might as well do it for a large farm rather than to do it for a 1 or 2 person commercial operation, right? So I feel like that's kind of the biggest difference that we see mining now versus before, and why in many ways I just feel like for me mining isn't my thing anymore, right? Like it's not, at least not on Bitcoin. See Bitmain gathering a lot of momentum here as well. I think this is probably one of the most popular groups because at the end of the day, Bitmain, they produce miners and they've been doing that for such a long time. And in many cases, the tech has really much matured already. So it's really about, not just about the latest tech, but rather how close you are to Bitmain. I mean, that's how things are going right now. So that's the new Bitcoin miner right there. So yes, mining is still alive. Just, mining is pretty much still alive. Just very specialized right now. So I also want to talk about the big elephant in the room as well, because the last conference I've been with Bitcoin Asia, there was a lot of excitement for 2 technologies, right? So BRC20s and also runes. So these are kind of meant to be like the tokenization on the Bitcoin ecosystem, and then of course the creation of NFTs or maybe like non-fungible tokens on the system. And in theory, it could have worked really well because there's a lot of very wealthy original OG Bitcoin guys, and they want to trade tokens. They want to also trade NFTs, but it hasn't really taken off that much, and we don't see as much of that ecosystem here at this conference. And it goes to show how hard it is to start, how hard it is to start something and how hard is it to change the culture. I think I mentioned earlier, Bitcoin is very tribal, and in fact it is. I talked to someone just now, and he was like, his company was putting up their booth, and they had Bitcoin Cash logos here, and then just remove it. That's a culture here. We don't see Ethereum at all. I walked around a few times. We don't really see the Ethereum logo at all. And yet again, that just goes to show how tribal and how protective Bitcoiners are of their ecosystem. And we've seen that before. I've seen that in 2026, but I guess it's because I haven't gone to as many Bitcoin-focused conferences for a while, where you don't see that tribalism in full force, but you do see it here. The people here, if you put other logos up, they're not going to be super happy. They much rather have Prenetics, which does biology, than an Ethereum logo. Hi guys.
Hi, welcome to Bitcoin Asia.
How's it going? How do you find this event actually?
Pretty good, better than last year I think.
Better than last year?
Yeah, last year was bigger, but this was place more tight, everything in one place.
Yeah.
I think miners
I like your outfit.
Yeah.
I like your outfit. Is this prosperity? Prosperity for a new year?
Yeah. I think yellow brings you some of the gold feeling.
Yeah.
Orange is good. But
and you got a side duck hat?
Yeah, side duck hat. Yeah. Gold is like real world asset, so yeah, trying to bring the joy back.
Yeah, and how do you find 2025? So Peter, we've been talking for a long ass time, and you're like Bitcoin miner since early on.
Yeah.
For people on the channel who don't know who you are, you've been mining. How do you find it right now, 2025? From an old school OG miner.
2025, I think, is a bit of a reshuffling. Ethiopia is pretty hot because it's cheap.
Right.
But it's also getting a bit expensive. The US is also pricing up.
Right.
And I think I interviewed a few of the miners here. They don't think that the tariff wars are going to impact mining.
Right.
But I think they will later.
Yeah.
They will later because they're also fighting over crypto, on the ETF regulated side. So interesting. There's a lot of cooling going on. Cooling, all immersion, water cooling.
Also cooling, as in not the market cooling, but
as
actually cooling the hardware.
Yeah, I think that's where most of the interests are right now.
So the innovation is in cooling.
In cooling, yeah.
Is that why is that though? Is that because we have better people?
No, I think and before it'll maybe you either pay back in a year or two or never. So I think the average lifespan of an ASIC miner has expanded to maybe 5 to 10.
Oh.
Because the improvement of the chip
it's not as much, right? Sorry,
is the improvement of the chip is doesn't scale as much anymore. So you can't really get more efficiency out of it.
Right.
So NRE costs are still very high to develop a new one, but it will last for longer.
Right.
So now like
it's actually a better time to get into because you're not switching hardware as much. You're just like.
I think it's to do with the stability of the hosting. Always, a lot of miners left China, and I think they're spread out across the world.
Right.
I don't know where the future base may be, but decentralized is always better. Yeah. I think anything over 30 megawatts as a facility is good enough.
Right.
To run over the bit axis.
And how do you find the climate right now? Like, do you think there's more interest now after Bitcoin's up? Do you see that? Do you see it as like a similar cycle or a different cycle? What's your gut feeling?
I think last cycle, a lot of the entrants came from DeFi.
Right.
So the TradFi DeFi. So traders working for big firms on their personal account. That's how they started being interested.
Right.
Now it's a lot more professional at the top because the entrance is more ETF related.
Right.
So ETF, MicroStrategy style, and then eventually I think digital asset treasuries.
Right.
So any list co with crypto inside. I think that's where most people will get back into crypto. So very BTC-ETH heavy, I think. I think that's what's slightly different.
Yeah, it's a different vibe. I feel like it's a completely different vibe.
Different vibe, but after a while, if they get on Hyperliquid, I'm sure everyone's the same vibe.
That's right.
Enough volume and wow, right? right. Everyone wants to party.
Exactly.
So we'll see. I mean, we had the 2020, 2021 double bump over the summer.
So you think it's like so you think people will still be people? People in suits, and people are still the same people.
I guess those looking for yield will swap from bonds to ETF back to bonds very quickly.
Right.
I think those who are looking for the speculative part will be. I mean, it's natural to look at the biggest avenue of trade volume. That's just natural. The UI is actually not bad for crypto. Maybe not Robinhood all the time.
Right.
But I'm sure like TradFi and DeFi. I think this is the season where it starts to merge. Regulations coming in, so everyone suits up. I'm just doing the crazy, but I have to put on a suit later, anyways. So I think, it's promising. It's promising. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. Cool. How about last question: Bitcoin or Bitcoin Cash?
Bitcoin. Bitcoin for cash over there. I'm selling both.
Excellent. All right, I'll see you. Thanks. All right, so I'm not going to beat around the bush here at all. So if you look at this conference, it's extremely Bitcoin focused. And there's a reason for that, because the Chinese are very, very tribal when it comes to what they support. So like, say for example, this is purely Bitcoin and its ecosystem. It's mining, sat layer, the Bitcoin wallets. You won't see a single Ethereum-based project here. It's like they kind of just kick that stuff out, right? And I've been told this a long time ago, and it still holds true today. Like there's factions in the Chinese ecosystem that are specifically and only for Bitcoin, and they only believe in Bitcoin. They only want to build on Bitcoin. They only want Bitcoin to succeed. They don't want to touch anything else. And that's very strong and alive today. And you see by the number of people here as well that it's huge. The second thing that I think a lot of people won't say out loud is that the Chinese are coming to Hong Kong to do their conferences now. So you can see that the population here, this is a very different, like we've been to quite a few conferences in Hong Kong, like some more international than others, but this is like China, right? This is like China. And part of the reason why is because it's very inconvenient to host events in China because of the regulatory stance there. It's actually much easier to just kind of do that in Hong Kong, because Hong Kong's kind of opening themselves up to Web3. So it's just easier to host a conference here instead, like kind of like the one country, two systems thing. Here, the second system here is friendly to AI. The primary system, not so much. And the other thing I gather from here is like if you just look at the people, is that a lot of people are interacting. Like it seems like it's like a big meetup for not just for listening, right? I do see people listening to this event, but as typical with a lot of conferences, there's a lot of gathering outside, and that's because like this is becoming a meeting. This serves its purpose as a offline meeting hub. And people need that, right? People still need to interact and see what's going on with the Bitcoin ecosystem. So yeah, there's a lot of people exchanging, like there's a lot of carpet bombing and business cards here. I see people just meeting people up for the first time, introducing themselves for the first time, and just, yeah, like, I know it sounds obvious, I mean, but there's a lot of crypto events that people just don't socialize. They just go take a look in a circle and call and get out. But now it's like, this one's a lot more interactive.